What is going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Table That Discussion. I'm your host, Howard Bender. Welcome to Fantasy Alarm TV. With me, of course, the same panel I had last Wednesday. Why? Because when it was that funny, you got to bring it back. Jen Piacenti, Jon Impemba, Adam Ronis, and Justin Fensterman. Fensty, you and I are we're on shaky ground right now. And you know what? I'm going to actually bring that to the table right now because we had a conversation on Monday night's show of Alarm After Hours, and you asked me the question, who's your favorite Star Wars character? Before we get to what yours was, Fensty, why don't we just Jen, how about you?
Han Solo.
All right, Jon?
I guess Luke. I've never watched Star Wars, so I don't really know.
You've never watched Star Wars?
I
know, Adam, you've seen it. You're not a fan. You know what?
Maybe I seen like a couple when I was a kid, and then after that, as an adult, I haven't watched it at all. So just not interested. Why are you shaking your head?
I just don't know how to I just don't know how to deal with the group right now. Now all of a sudden we like started off the show on the most awkward note.
How's it all?
Now, Howard, you and I are best friends.
We have to watch. We can't watch the same things and have the same interests. I've recommended shows that you loved, so clearly you can credit my viewpoints. We just disagree on that one.
Having some sort of a technical difficulty
I'm sure.
here. What's going on? Wow! Listen, I get it, Ronis. You told me that you saw him when you were young and it didn't do anything for you. Jon, that I just don't get. I just don't understand.
Like 5 movies or maybe before I was born. I don't know.
Okay. All right. You know what?
What was the one with the guy with the red face and the 2-ended saber thing?
That was one of Fensty's favorites. One of the prequels that nobody really cares much about.
Yeah, sure. That's the one I know. We'll do him.
Should we table that discussion, Howard?
Please. Let's definitely.
But Howard came out of the gate swinging, so I want to know who is Howard's favorite Star Wars character?
Han Solo actually was my favorite.
Oh,
100%.
All right.
So yeah, you and I, Jen, you and me, we're right here.
Totally.
Fensty, whose favorite character is Qui-Gon from one of the prequels? No.
He's an awesome leader.
Ronis and Impemba, I don't even.
I never heard of the person.
Yeah.
So
I've heard of these characters. I probably couldn't pick them out of a lineup. Some of them I could, but
wow. Well, all right. I guess Fensty. I guess I do have to.
None of you had the poster of Princess Leia in the bikini. None of that. No,
I like real things.
Real things.
I like real things. Wow. So as anybody out there can attest here, anything goes on Table That Discussion. We've got an array of topics. We like to base it in sports. I just happened to have done a show with Fensty on Monday night, Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio, where the whole Star Wars thing came up. But, man, I guess I probably should have researched that before coming into this episode because I never would have brought it up had I known that the outstanding array of interest that Jon Impemba routinely shows did not extend to
where my interests lie here, Howard. It's either gambling related or sports related. So
or food related.
It's true, food related. It's true. I have a lot of opinions, especially after watching your Day and Mail and 5 and 5 episode there, Jen. He is a troubling individual.
He's deeply disturbed.
Yeah.
He recommended a peanut butter mayonnaise and lettuce
mayonnaise sandwich.
Mayonnaise on peanut butter?
Yeah.
I love peanut butter, but not mayo on there.
Extra crunch.
Terrible, man. That's disgusting. The thought of that is
he's disgusting.
Vomited.
That's why he's not here.
All right. So you know what? There you go. You guys, thank you, Fensty. I'm doing this. I'm like, Well, I'll tell you what. Let's wipe the slate clean. Let's start fresh. Hey, everybody, I'm Howard Bender from Fantasy Alarm TV. Welcome to Table That Discussion. With me here, the esteemed panel of Jen Piacenti, Jon Impemba, Adam Ronis, and Justin Fensterman. How's everybody doing today?
Ichi.
Great.
I'm doing awesome.
Great. Star Wars sucks, by the way.
The antagonistic Adam Ronis. All right. Well, we do have a whole list of topics that I actually sent ahead of time to all of you, things that we were going to discuss. So maybe somebody's going to have something intelligent to say on what we're going to discuss here. I don't really know. Again, anything goes here on Table That Discussion, but I want to start off, obviously, in the sports world. We're hearing a lot of things. We're seeing the KBO, the Korean Baseball Organization. They started their season. They're playing without fans. The DFS community here is pretty heavy into it, as well as esports. But I got to tell you, every time we start talking about the possibilities of what could happen in sports here in the United States, it's like MLB's got a plan for this, and then all of a sudden we get a report that somebody in, whether it's a player, the players union, or the players themselves, or the families, or the GMs, or the owners, somebody's always unhappy with something that's going on, and it really does seem to kind of give us a bit of hope and then crashes our hopes completely. So now, yes, MMA is starting up in the state of Florida. We're going to have to see what kind of preparations they're making. Should a fighter or somebody involved actually test positive, and what the shutdown procedures are for them. But I got to ask you guys, with everything that you've heard, with the fact that the NHL and the NBA have been so silent as to what they're going to do and what the plans are for 2020, I asked the question, are contact sports for 2020 dead? Like, are we done with them? Who wants to start off? John, you're shaking your head no. You think you've got hope.
I do have hope. I mean, again, take it for what it's worth with all the rumors. The NBA was supposed to open up some facilities last week. It didn't end up happening. Now there's more, unverified reports that they're going to try to go ahead and reopen some of their facilities in states that are opening up starting next week. We've seen, reports from other teams' presidents in the NHL, like the Florida Panthers, say that there's a plan for, NHL to resume in 4 dedicated cities around the league to finish out the regular season. I think every sport is pretty determined to pick it back up. I mean, they're all very willing to wait. It seems like a lot of the plans are just to delay the 2021 seasons to make sure that these seasons finish off the way they are. So I'm certainly not going to say that it's dead. I think it's just more of a waiting game as these states sort of go through their phases of reopening. We saw Georgia do it. I think I saw Arizona, Texas, Florida. Like, more and more states are slowly starting to go through certain phases. I don't think that fans are going to be at any of these events, but I think the sports themselves are certainly going to return. The UFC today showed their fighters for this weekend's card getting their COVID tests. We saw Tony Ferguson getting like his mouth swab or something like that. So they're taking a lot of precautions ahead of time to make sure they know if any of these fighters have tested positive. I'm sure they've been testing them throughout to make sure that they're all fine. So I think everything's going to come back. It's just going to take some time, and unfortunately, we'll be at home watching it.
Well, that actually bodes a very interesting question. And Fensty, you said something to me probably about a month ago when you were talking about the NBA and the possibilities of them opening up their new season on Christmas Day and what could happen with that. So I ask you here, the 2020 season, do they continue? Do they look to try and have the playoffs? Do they, do that? What does that do for the NBA draft? B, what does that do for the time off, the off season, if they do want to start up the new year on Christmas Day? You've got guys who legit can't play a back-to-back, for crying out loud. Now all of a sudden you're going to tell them that their off season is going to be shortened down to basically what could constitute maybe a month, maybe 2.
Right. So my thought process with next season starting on Christmas Day was that the NBA would go right to the playoffs right after July 4th. And give or take 2 months for the playoffs, so maybe a little bit over a month, they will try to have less travel days between those games to try to speed it up just a little bit. But you can only do so much to these babies that don't want to play every single day. But regardless, if you have the 2-month playoffs, and that puts you to about Labor Day, because the original thought was that they want to be completely done by Labor Day. So if it's done by then you can immediately start your free agency. You can have signing day. You can have the draft first. And then after that, you can have free agency. You condense that by not having the 10 days of negotiations. And once midnight strikes on the start date, anyone that they want can sign. There's normally about 10 days that you have to negotiate. You can make verbal agreements, but you can't sign anything officially. So you take that away. So now we're looking at probably October, mid-October. And with their new teams, while their offseason may be taken away, they maybe have two months of inactivity normally. They won't have that this time. They'll have a little bit of time, but then they'll probably enter a slow training regimen by middle of October. And then that brings us to November for full training. And then by Christmas, I think that's enough time for everyone.
All right. Adam, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, look, whatever solution we come up with for all these sports is not going to be ideal. People are going to have to suck it up. I mean, this is obviously a unique time that we've never dealt with this before. So there are going to be, sports that just aren't the way we're accustomed to seeing. The goal is obviously to get them back as soon as possible. I've been saying from the beginning, I thought the NBA would go straight to the playoffs. For the most part, there weren't really that many exciting races anyway. I mean, the playoff teams in the Eastern Conference were pretty much decided. Yeah, there was a battle for the 8th seed in the West. Sure, seeding and home court, but there's nothing you could do now. So go straight to the playoffs. You can get it done maybe in a month and a half, especially if you don't take as many days off. So, I hope that they come back and crown a champion for sure. I mean, I don't see them canceling the season, even if they have to extend it to July or August. I think there's a way they can get it done and then, start the season later than usual. For baseball, again, I have not paid any attention to all of this crap with baseball because it's a new scenario every other week, man. And people are sitting there wasting their time. Oh, well, this is my strategy. Why? You did your strategy for Arizona and Florida. Now that's not going to happen. Then, the 3 divisions of 10. Oh, well, this is how I'm going to draft now. Now that's probably out the window. Just wait. I know we're bored and we're looking for things to do, but just wait until they actually say, here's the start date. Here's what we're doing. We don't know anything. We don't even know with these states. That's the biggest problem is you don't know what state's going to open up. Obviously, some states have it worse than others, specifically New York, Jersey, California. So, that's the thing. We don't know things now. And I know we're in the business of predicting and sitting here, but we don't know anything. And sometimes you have to say it, and especially as fantasy analysts, which we think we have the answer for everything, sometimes there are certain things we don't know. And we don't know anything right now.
We don't know anything right now. I mean, there was a rumor that Trevor Plouffe was tweeting out the information that he got from the Cleveland Indians. I know Jim Bowden has spoken with a number of GMs and players alike as well who are looking to make that that transition. So Jen, MLB is in a very tough situation. Like Adam says, we don't know. What are we going to do? We as fantasy analysts, we're supposed to, as part of our business, keep people interested, keep people informed. So, your take on MLB, is it rumor? Is it fact? And the question then also, let's say we go through the MLB season. They go through a truncated season, the 80 to 100 games plays to the end of November. What do you do with the 2021 season? How far do you push that back?
So I think it's more than just rumor. I think there's probably a lot of truth to it. But as we've discussed previously, even if you have a plan, sometimes the plans get changed. I mean, in Miami, they opened South Point Park this week and said people could go, and then people didn't follow the rules and they had to close it back down. And that's what we're dealing with. We can make a plan. These rumors are probably real, but we still don't know what's going to come up. Do I think sports will come back? Yes. Do I think baseball will come back? Yes. I think that they really want to have the season. I think we really need it. And we're seeing now in Korea that they're able to do it, which is a great precedent. It shows that, hey, there is some interest. It can be done. As far as if we play through November, how much are they going to push back the next season? I don't think they should. I think they should give us a full season. And sorry if you have a little less rest. And yes, that will change the way that we project, but let's not carry this on forever and ever and ever. Let's get back to normal as soon as possible. And I don't think that's going to be, maybe the pitchers will have to be managed differently, but let's get a full season in.
I mean, the pitchers definitely need to be managed differently. If you're going to shorten that, you're not, yes, it's a shortened season, but if you're shortening that recovery time in the off season, maybe you have to do it. Listen, there has to be some sort of a ripple effect for subsequent seasons. You can't just say, okay, this is what they're going to do in 2020 and then not think that that's going to have some sort of an effect on 2021.
Well, that's true, but we don't know what it will be yet. We don't know because we could be just changing it to 6-man rotations. Maybe for the next year we'll have bigger rosters. Like it's just as Adam said, it's impossible to know. Even if we say, hey, they're playing through November. I mean, postseason teams play through October, so it's one extra month. So there's a lot of ways you could manage that. You may not be putting the same amount of mileage on the arms anyway, so it doesn't matter if you're only pitching 1 out of every 6 of 80 games. Do you need as much recovery time? It's a difference of 1 month.
Adam, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, yeah, if you're only going 1 extra month to November, it's not a big deal at all. You can start spring and February. Now, the biggest adjustment will be, which is what we deal with, pitchers who deal with injuries and their innings are limited. So if you got an 80-game schedule and say your starter, makes 16 starts, 6 innings, he's only throwing 96 innings. So now we're projecting, the top tier guys to go 200. That's a 100 innings pitch jump for the next year. So that's where it's going to come into play, is with the pitchers. But as far as the league as a whole, it shouldn't be a big deal at all. If you're only going 1 month, and it's only going to be a few teams playing in November, if we go to the end of November, right? Only the playoff teams. So it's really not going to have a ripple effect for 2021, except with the pitchers for fantasy. Because again, you're going to have pitchers seeing an increase of 100 innings. At the same time, though, like a guy like that I was worried about going into this year with Steven Strasburg. I think this layoff actually increases his fantasy value. I thought he was overvalued before going in the second, third round. I'm like, wait, all of a sudden now, because he had one big healthy year and he was great, we're going to just push him up the draft board. So now I think it changes, because now if he's only got to go 80 games, he's already had that extended rest, and it allows him to potentially have another great year. But then in 2021, do you really want to project him for another increase of 100 innings? That's where it's going to be rough, and it could affect the pitchers in 2021.
All right, give me a show of hands here. Who thinks we're going to see NBA, NHL, MLB all complete their 2020 seasons? Show of hands.
More hope.
Right? I was just going to say, there you go. That's a lot of hope.
Can I jump in now?
Thought, bro, if you
I don't think
think positive, it'll go into existence.
Well, wait a minute, Ronis. Let's talk about some of these reports that, I know that frustrates you every time a report comes out, but are we not supposed to cover this stuff? Like, what happens if you get thousands
we can cover it and discuss it, but to sit here and act as though, okay, here's the fantasy strategy now. Because if you did that, you wasted time. You wasted 3 articles already if you did that based on the reports, right?
Last week you were like, we shouldn't redraft, and that's the way it goes, and whatever. But now you're talking about strategies being completely different right now.
That's if you're drafting today. I would say if you did your draft, as we discussed on the last one, if you did your draft knowing there was a delay, you knew there were possibilities that the season would be condensed. And you, as a league, decided to go forward with it. So I'm not going to take the 4-hour auction I did and change it. Now, if everyone says, no, I don't want to do it, or I want my money back, fine, then just throw the money back and cancel it. But if everyone agreed to do it, then go forth with it. But I'm saying now, I'm not starting a draft today. I told you this. We discussed it yesterday. I'm not doing any fantasy baseball drafts right now. For what? Because it's different today. We know there's clearly going to be a condensed season, for sure. And we don't know if it's going to be 80, 100, but we know for certain that there's going to be drastic changes. In March, we knew, obviously, there was a possibility. But if people decided to go forward with it, I think just leave it.
All right. So I've got 3 hands up there, Fensty, Ronis, and John, who think that we will see it. Jen, you say no to NHL? Why just the NHL?
Because there's not enough money and not enough people, not a big enough fan base for them to deal with it. That's what I think.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Sorry.
I will say, look, I'm not a huge...
That's what I guess is going to happen.
I like hockey a lot. I got to be honest, this is the least amount that I've watched because I was so into NBA and sports betting and everything. So I have to invest my time there. But NHL playoffs are one of the best playoffs in sports.
Absolutely.
They may be, but I'm just saying I don't think that all 3 of the leagues are going to come back. And if one of them's not going to come back, I think it's NHL.
But how does?
I think there's enough.
Why would you say that? What does the NHL have to do with the other 3?
I don't think they're going to try hard enough.
I don't know about that. I don't think they
have enough incentive to.
That is a hot take.
I know.
Oh, I hope people are watching it going bananas.
They've already gone bananas on me this week on Twitter about me not putting NHL as a sport that you would watch.
Yeah, that is messed up. I gotta agree. You deserve heat for that.
Right? At
You
Jen
do.
Piacenti on the old Twitter
Not a
machine.
fan.
Go get her.
Have you ever been to a hockey game in person, Jen?
No, and do I want to go? No.
You should. I think it's one of the best sports to watch in person.
100%.
It
Agreed.
is.
Well,
Agreed.
You will change your mind if you go to a game and watch it in person.
All right, well, here we go. Then what a great way to segue into tabling that discussion, then opening up this. Jen, you have no interest in the NHL. What's your level of interest in the KBO? And are you playing KBO DFS?
my level of interest in the KBO is almost zero. And no, I'm not playing KBO DFS because I don't have a gambling problem. I have a competition problem.
Oh, you watched The Last Dance? Do you watch it, Jen?
I haven't watched it yet, really. I've just seen highlights.
You and Howard, man. So, John, you watch it, right?
I have watched highlights. I haven't sat down and watched it.
Oh,
I haven't seen it yet.
Justin, what are we doing here with John? You're an NBA guy. How do you not watch it?
I am an NBA guy, but like, I don't know. I don't really sit
Was
and
it
watch
before
a lot
you were
of TV.
born? That's why?
Oh, I don't watch a lot of TV. I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty. So like, you gotta weigh your options.
You can't take 2 hours out on a Sunday night or watch it on demand for an hour and 40 minutes to watch like.
I mean, like I said, it's something I am interested in the story. I like getting my shortened version from everybody tweeting it for me. So
John, what if it was the 2007-2008 Boston Celtics championship season? You'd be all over that.
They've ran those like documentaries around on the local. I haven't watched it. To me, I'm like, it's fine. I understand the history of it. I know how great of a player he is, but I don't know. I don't need to dedicate my time. I understand that nobody else has anything else going on. I'm sure you guys would watch it regardless.
We would, yeah.
I'm going to watch it.
If every sport was on right now,
I might.
I'd
I don't
watch
know.
it.
I got nothing. That's just not. I don't know. I haven't sat down and watched it. I've seen highlights. I've watched the YouTube clips, but I haven't watched it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm with John on that one there. As far as sitting down watching TV, there are other things that pique my interest as well. Listen, I love and respect Michael Jordan. I'm just not a hoops guy, so it just doesn't really the inside behind the scenes look of Michael Jordan's career doesn't really do much for me. But that's not the topic at hand, boys. The topic at hand and girl is the KBO. And since Jen's got zero interest in playing zero DFS, then let me go down to John, who is our resident degenerate. And John, you are all about the gambling. You're all about the DFS. You're playing Call of Duty, and you're probably playing Counter-Strike with Sean Mitchell. So why don't you talk to me here? Level of interest in the KBO, and are you playing DFS?
So I have like mild interest of like observing the KBO, but I really don't have much interest in like participating in the DFS or gambling yet. When I go out there and see guys like Mike Wright, dominating KBO hitters when, he had a hard enough time getting Major League Baseball players out, like, I have my hard time wrapping my head around that, seeing Aaron Oliver and, Dan Straley, all these like washout MLB players in the KBO, like having success. Like to me, it kind of lessens the product a little bit. But I mean, again, it's a victim of like, this is all we have. So people are throwing themselves at it. Again, something I've looked at from afar, but nothing I've really delved into. I've read James's playbook. I've read Jewett's recaps, like all well and fine. But nothing that I really dove headfirst into. I think it also has a lot to do with the time in which these games are being played. I'm not waking up to watch them. They're not on during the day, where like if when day baseball is on, like it's like my favorite thing in the world, in the afternoon, put on a game. It doesn't matter what it is. I'll put it on and just have it on in the background, peek at it, watch it. Like I can't even really like do this with the KBO right now. So, for me, it's kind of limiting my, exposure to it.
All right. Fancy, how about you? Are you showing any interest? Listen, Alarm After Hours is from midnight to 2 a.m., which means that when you're done, you can sit back, crack a White Claw, and watch a little baseball, right?
Yes, sir. And am I very interested in? No, but if I'm going to play DFS in something, I need to be able to kind of live it to start. And what I normally do when I'm entering a new DFS sport is I spectate. I'm a spectator this week, and maybe even part of next week as well. I'm watching the content that we have on the site. I'm not closing my eyes to it or anything like that because let's face it, it's either that or Counter-Strike right now. And I'd much rather watch some baseball and play some Counter-Strike. So I'm currently observing right now, Howard. I don't just jump in. I kind of see how I can research what I can do, if I can find any patterns, and then read the articles on the site. Then I'll try it out. Because, I mean, not only do I support the guys on the site, but also it is baseball here. So I do have a little bit of interest in it. I'm not jumping for joy. But, yes, by next week, I'll throw a lineup in or two.
I think I know the answer here from Adam Ronis, but yet I'll ask him
So what's
anyway.
Let's see if you're right.
The answer is you have very limited interest to no interest in watching these games, and you're probably not playing DFS for it either.
I'm not playing DFS. I got babies to feed, man. So, I need that money.
Is that what we're calling them now? Babies?
Well, yeah, I mean, which babies? Are there some illegitimate little baby Adams running around?
I just found out I got 3 kids. I had no idea. And, the letters came. No, I'm just kidding.
Sean Kemp over here.
What?
You're Sean Kemp.
Yeah, or Antonio Cromartie, right? Even when he tried not to have kids, he had kids. Boy, that you talk about rough. KBO, I agree to what some of the others said, where the time is the biggest problem. These games are going live 2:30 a.m. Eastern, 5:30 a.m. Eastern, so it's kind of difficult to watch. I have a game on in the background now. Can't pay attention on it because I got to focus here. But it is on the TV.
Don't let us keep you.
All right.
Go ahead. You want to go? Yeah, you just sit and watch.
5-0 right now. But yeah, they're replaying them in the afternoon, which is cool. Like, as you do your work, you can have it on in the background. But I think that's the biggest problem is really the time of these games. But at least it is baseball. So yeah, I mean, especially if they were on at a different time, I'd probably watch. Again, there's no live sports on. So I'm either working or watching, shows. I don't watch a lot of TV, but I'm watching more now with no live sports on. If this was a typical May, I'd be watching NBA playoffs every night. There'd be 2-3 games on. Although at this point there might be only 2. But I'd be watching NBA playoffs, MLB, preparing for football. I'd have no time to watch anything. Obviously, it has opened up a little bit, so I'm more apt to watch TV shows. But it's just unfortunate that the time the games are on. Because I'm not waking up at 5:30 in the morning. No way.
Oh, I hear you. And then that would put it at 2:30 in the morning for me, and that's just not happening either. Yeah. I don't want to have to deal with that. All right, listen, I get it. I get it. All right, well, then with all of this massive free time that you guys have during the day here, well, certainly.
I never said massive.
Well, listen, there are no honeys coming over, Adam.
Well,
all right?
I can break the law, right?
Oh, is that what it is? Is that what it is? Should we just plan your funeral right now? Show of hands, who wants to carry the casket for Adam Ronis? Anyone?
You've been planning. See, Howard is going to live the longest out of all of us. He's the one who's been planning his funeral. He's all gloom and doom. He thinks he's going to die soon. He's going to live past all of us, man.
I don't think I'm going to die soon. I'm hoping to die soon.
You see this? And he's going to live longer than all of us. Watch.
Nobody else wants to be a pallbearer at Adam Ronis' funeral? Come on.
They don't want me to die.
Dude, it'd be like a bar mitzvah. We just sit there with the casket. We'd be holding it up, shaking it.
I thought Justin would certainly raise his hand. I'm a little surprised. He's going to be like, "See, I told you, I'm your friend."
Wow.
You wouldn't even pick me from the grave to be your pallbearer, Adam. Okay.
Well, all right. Well, with some of the free time that you have, let's find out just how creative some of you actually are. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Jon Impemba. I'm not going to start with you. I'm going to give you about 45 more minutes to think about this answer. What's the most creative thing that you've done with your time during this shelter-in-place order? Jen, I'll go to you.
Okay, well, the most creative thing I've done is practice my guitar and write original harmonies and record original harmony vocals for my friend's new album and music video. Yeah.
That I like. Fancy, how about you? Something creative?
Well, I don't know how creative this is, but I've reorganized my entire basketball card collection. It's been a nice trip going down memory lane. So I've actually not checked them out in a long time. I did that. Besides that, I've been actually writing little short stories as well. I'm starting to think of maybe turning that into something about kind of how I'm feeling going through this right now. I'm a very expressive person, so I've been writing it down. I've been keeping a journal, and I'm hoping to start to turn that into something within the next 6 months.
That's not bad. Because you hit the basketball card collection, and that collective clicking noise you heard was everybody else changing the channels. But now Fensty coming out, would it be like a children's book kind of thing, Fensty, or you gearing it more towards people of your contemporary age?
People my contemporary age. It's just being able to keep in control what you can control and still try to find the good in each and every day, despite it being a terrible time in the world.
Well, unfortunately, nobody.
Viktor Frankl. Have you read the book, A Man's Search for Meaning?
No.
Nobody his age reads. What are you talking about? That's the thing. Nobody reads anymore. Adam Ronis, creativity, anything?
Not really. Kind of done the same old thing. I've got I don't know if you consider this creative, but I've gotten people out of their comfort zone on video.
I
don't know what that really means.
Is comfort zone code?
I think you know what it means.
John, you're doing the Homer Simpson gif into the bushes right now. So come on, give me something creative that you've done.
Creative? I mean, I don't know. Like, what kind of opportunities do I have to be creative, I guess? We're all kind of cooped up. Like I said, I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty. I mean, I got a Twitch stream. I've been streaming myself playing video games. Guess that's creative. Other than that, I really don't have much. I mean, I cook all the time. I mean, cooking can be creative, I guess.
I think we covered your specialty of the house last time.
Covered cooking last time, but I mean, just trying to do different things in the kitchen. We get some of those like meal kits sent to you where they give you the ingredients and you cook things all together. So that's always kind of fun to make new recipes that kind of get you outside of your comfort zone a little bit that you're not used to typically making. So, I guess that could be a little bit creative as well.
All right. Well, not bad. Not bad. Then here you go. Then I'll throw this other shelter-in-place question at everybody here. Who should we start with? Adam Ronis. Biggest regret of something you should have done but didn't do before the shelter-in-place order?
Probably learn how to cook. I think that would be a good one. It's something that I don't do, and a lot of people are surprised by it, but I guess that's something that I probably should have learned. It just seems like it's so time-consuming.
You have quality sandwich-making skills?
Yeah, I can make a sandwich. I don't count that.
There you go. That's my extent of cooking. Justin Fensterman, biggest regret?
I've been really wanting to get a puppy for the last 6 months, and now I really don't, because I'm pretty scared to go anywhere. I really don't want to go anywhere, even to look at puppies. And so because of that, now I can really use the puppy because, like I said, looking for the good in every day. I just wish when I'm feeling stressed, I could give that big old fur ball just a huge hug to relieve it a little bit.
Oh, John, you have a new dog. It's not a big old fur ball. It's just kind of like it's like having an extra cat at home, right?
Yeah, she's smaller than the cats, yeah, for the most part.
All right. Yeah. Regret for you, John, any?
I'm trying to think if I had a regret for myself before all of this. I mean, I came home from the quarantine off of vacation, so I was kind of ill-prepared for a lot of the things. So maybe have more resources to buy things. Like still short on paper towels, still trying to find all of those things. So I could have stocked up for the end of the world like everybody else did when I came back. But I don't really have I guess a regret. Not really. No, not too much.
My wife came home with a 6-pack of mega rolls, Bounty mega rolls, and literally looked like she hit the lottery. Like she felt that good about it.
Allows me to grab one. So when I'm out, I have to go to the weird supermarkets that nobody really goes into, and then they have the restricted amount of things you can buy. So that's still been a little bit of a struggle, and we're a month into it. The weekly search for paper towels.
Yes, Justin. Yeah, you have a question?
Yes, and I learned how to do that from Jen Piacenti, by the way. So there you go, Jen. Howard, I have a follow-up for you on that, and that's Howard. Are they in the freezer yet?
The toilet paper? The toilet paper's in the freezer only if we do some spicy food, but we don't do spicy food, especially in shelter in place. So there's really no need for that. You know, my wife doesn't like the spicy food, so, you know, I'm good with that. Jen, biggest regret for you?
I know this is something that you guys probably all share, but I really regret that I didn't get a really nice pedicure before shelter in place, because now I'm not even wearing shoes. I'm looking at my feet all the time. They don't look cute. It's just not pretty, and I really wish I had fixed my feet.
You have talons?
I mean, no, I've already had to trim them twice, and the pink is all worn off, and it's just terrible. I know you guys really empathize.
I almost want to see what they look like, because I'm kind of all I'm picturing. Anybody else picturing
Ryan over here?
Are we picturing Hobbit feet?
It's Hobbit feet. Well, you know, first of all, you should know that I had a nickname in high school called Hippo Feet. I actually have very nice feet, but my toes are different than most people's toes. So most people, their second toe is longer. No, I have nice toes, but see, I'm not even right.
Howard just vomited.
So, no, they're in a line. See how they're like sequential?
Yeah.
In a diagonal. So my friend in high school told me only hippos had feet like that.
Rex Ryan just tuned in.
Yeah,
he's watching right now. Can you show
Rex
him?
Ryan has joined the conversation.
Oh, Jen, let me see your feet, Jen.
Well, just to show you guys that I too can take part in these, my biggest regret is not going to the dry cleaners and picking up all my stuff beforehand, because now I'm like rocking the same 3 shirts on all of these.
They're closed.
And as we know, he has to do his own laundry.
Yeah, so
I was gonna say, like, the shirt he's wearing today to me is no different than the shirt he wore last Wednesday. So, like, I don't really see a difference in your the laundry drama there. I feel like this is what you.
I don't have any rotation. There's no rotation anymore.
Just seems that way.
It's it. All right, next topic here. Here we go, everybody. Now that the dust has settled on the NFL draft, which 2 rookies will you be most heavily invested in should the 2020 season actually happen? Yeah, I'm gonna do the doom and gloom thing there. It's seems to be my thing. Who should we start with? Fensty, let's start with you.
All right, the 2 guys that I like, let's start with Michael Pittman Jr., especially looking at draft value right now. It's going to go up by the time the supposed season is going to start. So anyway, you look at Indy and Howard. You said it best on a show we did maybe a week or 2 ago, is that we know T.Y. Hilton probably going to miss about 4 games. So with that, Michael Pittman Jr., I love where he is right now with the veteran quarterback and Phillip Rivers. And also the second player I like, and I mentioned this guy before, and I'll continue to mention him, is Cam Akers. Again, I really did love the tape I watched on him. I know the Rams have said that they like all 3 of their running backs. I don't buy that for a second. I believe that Cam Akers is going to be far and away the top guy there. He's going to score a lot of touchdowns. I hope that I don't have to end up paying about 2nd round value for him or even early 3rd. I'm hoping he stays in that 4th round range when redraft season begins or really heats up in August.
Pittman and Akers, I like those guys for sure. John, how about you?
I'm going to go with Justin Jefferson, go with the Vikings, replacing Stephon Diggs there. I think there's going to be an opportunity, even though that offense is going to be, handled by Dalvin Cook in the running game. I still think Thielen and Jefferson are going to get their looks, and Jefferson being the number 2 receiver there, I think he's going to hold a lot of value considering, some of the other receivers and where they ended up or the timeshares that they're going to have with the other receivers on that offense. So for me, Jefferson, and I'm going to go with Devin Asiasi, the tight end for the New England Patriots. We have the theory of young quarterbacks and how they like to lean on their young their tight ends. So Jarrett Stidham, I think him and Asiasi could create a nice bond together, and we're going to go in that direction at the tight end position for rookies.
Thing that makes you want to vomit the most, is it John's Patriots homerism or Jen's feet?
John.
I like Jen's feet.
Don't think we're getting a love connection here. I'll be right back in 2 and 2. Oh,
no, we don't want Adam getting too creative.
You're unfortunately though, I know for a fact that you are not Adam's type.
That's true.
Nah, Jen's awesome.
True.
Jen is awesome, but she's just not your type. Jen, who are your favorite 2 rookies this year?
So my favorite two rookies. So this is a tricky question because I think I probably should answer my favorite two rookies that you guys should all draft and that's the smart draft. But I decided to answer it as who I probably actually will draft, which may not necessarily be the smartest one. And that's going to be Cam Akers for all the reasons that Finsty said, and CeeDee Lamb, because I suppose I'm also a little bit of a homer. But actually what it's about is those two players, I watched a lot of their tape and they just excited me. And there's a point where like, maybe CeeDee Lamb won't get a lot of targets, but he's probably at least going to maybe get a Randall Cobb role. And he's just so exciting to watch that I kind of want to have people on my team that if they are really good, I want to watch him play. Like I love the way Cam Akers jukes. Like I want to see that. And I want to have a few of those people on my team. So I'm answering this as not who you should necessarily have a lot of exposure to, but who I think I will.
Well, it's kind of funny because actually in today's wide receiver article, Adam Ronis wrote about rookie wide receivers who you want to, you're taking a look at for redraft leagues. And I was actually surprised to see CeeDee Lamb sitting there, Adam. It was he was one of your calls. Do you feel like CeeDee Lamb is going to have enough work? Well, and then you give me the answer on CeeDee Lamb first, and then give me your two favorite rookies.
Well, Lamb was going to be one of them, but I'll pivot to two others and just discuss Lamb real quick. The thing is, the initial reaction to Lamb, everyone said, oh, terrible landing spot. Agree on that. But I think they're pushing it too far now. I mean, if you can get him in the wide receiver between 40 and 50, you're not investing much. And Randall Cobb had a target percentage of over 14% of the target share last year. He had over 800 yards and 3 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb's way better. And, What if Lamb... if Cooper is going to get attention to Gallup, Lamb could have the easiest matchup. And if he's open, Dak's going to find him. So I think Lamb might be a lot better than people think. If he's going to remain cheap, yeah, I'll invest because you might be able to get him as your wide receiver 5. And if he flops, not a big deal. But if he surpasses expectations and becomes a big part of the offense, you got a good value there. That article, I don't like a lot of the wide receivers this year, but they're all cheap. You don't have to pay for them. I like, obviously, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but I'm not going to put him there because you got to pay a price for him. But Anthony McFarland from the Steelers, he's cheap. They don't seem like they have a lot of confidence in James Conner. You can get him in the double-digit rounds. There's a chance that he grows into a bigger role. I don't think Benny Snell is a guy that – I know he flashed at times last year. Jalen Samuel's more of a pass-catching back, but I think McFarland can grow into a big role. And you get him in the double-digit rounds. And J.K. Dobbins for the Ravens. You want to invest in the Ravens run game. Mark Ingram's 30 years old. We saw that Ingram was very reliant on touchdowns last year. And if Ingram gets hurt, Dobbins goes into a big role with Lamar Jackson at quarterback opening up and creating running lanes. So I just take the cheap the rookies, and you might get a good value. And the receivers are going to be cheap. Pittman was brought up. That's a fine one because he's going to start on the outside. Frank Reich was raving about him. And the Colts desperately needed a receiver with size. The only concern with them is they have such a good offensive line. I think they're going to run the football a lot and ask Rivers to kind of manage more than, throw a ton. So that's the one downside. But again, double-digit rounds, you're not paying a lot for him.
J.K. Dobbins one is an interesting thing for me because I sit and I just – whatever happened to Justice Hill? Everybody was all in on Justice Hill last year. Justice Hill was going to be the pass-catching back for the Ravens. Justice Hill was going to be the next heir apparent to Mark Ingram. And Dobbins comes along the way. And now the question is there a future in the NFL for Justice Hill? Anybody have a strong feeling on Justice Hill one way or the other?
Nope.
I just don't
know how we can.
We just give up on this guy after a year. I mean, with everything you just said, Howard, I echo the same sentiments. And I just don't understand. 1 year, and that's it. It's a tell-all with this guy, with Ingram, who is still there. It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, teams are telling you the way they feel. Why did they draft Dobbins then? If they had confidence in Hill, they wouldn't do it. Same thing with Darrell Henderson, right? He got a lot of buzz last year. Everyone got excited, and the Rams went out and drafted Cam Akers. And they didn't use Henderson much. So teams make mistakes sometimes. They see something, they draft them, and whatever it is, whether it's work ethic or they don't pick up assignments, something wasn't done that they didn't like. If they felt that strongly, they wouldn't have drafted Dobbins as high as they did.
But it's 1 year.
It doesn't. It's 1 year, but what is the team telling you when they make a decision like that, right?
Right.
They look, drafting is not easy. Teams make mistakes left and right, and maybe they maybe they do have confidence in him. We'll find out. But what they're telling us there is, Justice Hill's not what we thought.
And he was only a 4th-round pick. There wasn't like a huge investment in him like there was, Dobbins being a 2nd-rounder. So easier to move on.
All right. Well, in honor of Justice Hill, who maybe a change of scenery would actually help him, a question that actually we're going to discuss on tonight's Fantasy Alarm Show on Sirius XM, NFL Comeback Player of the Year. There are a number of names in play for this, from quarterbacks to wide receivers to running backs, tight ends. So I asked you guys to give me who your pick for the NFL Comeback Player of the Year is. Who wants to go first? John does. I know where this is going. Go ahead, John.
What? What do you mean? I think it's pretty obvious, and I'll go chalk here with the Vegas favorite, Rob Gronkowski. I mean, he retired. He's out of retirement. He's down in Florida. He's with Tom Brady. He claims that he's good and healthy and ready to do, explode. And it's a tight end position where, there's not, outside of the top tier, like it's pretty easy to have, top 5 tight end season at the position. If you just are involved in the offense at all, which Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski clearly have that connection to make him involved. So, it's low-hanging fruit, but I think Gronk, for me, should be the runaway winner of this, barring any sort of like dramatic injury or a real, huge season by, I'm sure, some of the other people that are going to be mentioned here.
He's getting some serious grief for trying to trademark Gronkaneers down there. That was a new one there. Tom Brady's getting yelled at left and right. Now Gronk's getting yelled at left and right. All right, so there you go. I expected that one from you. Adam, how about you?
Ben Roethlisberger, 2 years ago, he had 34 touchdowns, had a great year, over 5,000 yards, obviously had a career high in pass attempts with 675, but got good weapons around him. I mean, we saw how great Juju Smith-Schuster was 2 years ago. Love Deontay Johnson. They have good weapons on this team. They added Ebron, Vance McDonald. Again, the run game, some question marks. Connor has not shown the ability to stay healthy, so they could rely on Ben a lot. I know he's older, but he's a guy that has always got banged up and been a drama queen and come back into the games. That's why no one believed when he was hurt last year. But yeah, he's older, but we've seen quarterbacks play at this age. So they have a really good defense, which is what kept them afloat last year. So I think it's Ben Roethlisberger.
All right, Fensty?
I'm going to go with David Johnson, and that's because, again, I know that he's had health issues. But here's the thing with David Johnson, and again, I know I've said this 1,000 times, I watched a lot of Houston last year, and the best times that I saw with Hopkins and Watson, short passes, and I really do believe that David Johnson's going to be that guy. I don't care about the O-line. He's going to get it out to David Johnson very quickly, and that's why, especially from the fantasy perspective, I'm looking at him. If I'm sitting there in the 4th, 5th round, is he still there in the 4th? That's a big-time consideration for me. I'm not writing him off. I think the change of scenery is going to work out very well. We're going to see dump-off after dump-off to this guy this season.
All right. Jen, how about you?
All right, my answer is Todd Gurley. He's only 25 years old. Everybody thinks he's 30. He's not Frank Gore. He's still 25 years old. He's going to Atlanta, which is like always in the top 10 of offense and points. And there's no one he has to share with. It's going to be his job. So I really think that this could be Todd Gurley's big year.
How does Gurley win this award, though, when he had 14 total touchdowns last year? I know, and he's...
So you don't think he qualifies as someone that can be a comeback, is what you're saying?
No, well, I looked at the odds for DK.
Because I looked at the lines, and he is in there
as plus 2,000, but I'm not criticizing you. I'm asking as a question for a guy that had 14 total touchdowns, how does he win Comeback Player of the Year award? Does he have to rush for 1,300 yards because he had 857 last year? Like, that's what I don't understand.
I actually went to make sure he qualified because I kind of had the same question too. But since they had lines, I decided I was still going with. I really think he could be amazing. Like, so I don't know. You're right. I don't know how you would.
If you had to vote for the award, in your opinion, what would Gurley have to do to win it? Is my question, because he had 14 total touchdowns. Does he have to rush for 1,304.6 yards per carry because it was way better than last year?
Yeah, maybe something like that, but it may have more to do with the other people not being as good. So it may not have to do with him being so good as it is nobody else really stands out at their position. So if Gronk, 6 touchdowns and 500 yards. If all those people bust and Gurley's just even marginally better, he could still take it.
All right. Listen, Todd Gurley for Jen, David Johnson for Fensty, Big Ben for Adam, Rob Gronkowski for Jon Impemba. All right.
What about for you, Le'Veon Bell?
Oh my God. Listen, you know what? Listen to tonight's fantasy alarm show. I write one of my love letters today to Joe Douglas, GM of the New York Jets.
That doesn't mean a Frank Gore.
Well, you know what? It's not Frank's fault. Listen, Frank Gore, I'll say this. I've met Frank Gore. Frank Gore is the nicest guy you'll ever meet. He's funny looking as all hell. He's the nicest dude in the world. And listen, he's looking to make sure that he continues to earn money to stay in the lifestyle he's grown accustomed to being in. And if that means that a dipshit, best friend like Adam Gase, and I apologize for the language, not really, is going to throw him a bone like that and let him do it, well, that's what it is. It's up to Joe Douglas to fire Adam Gase and clear up this Lev Bell situation. It's an outright disaster. So no New York Jets. David Johnson was my call for the Comeback Player of the Year award. So I side with Justin Fensterman. All the rest of you three, how about that? All right, last topic here before we get out of here. This is a nice little fun one here because I think most of you agree with me on where we're at with these. But slow drafts. Can we talk about slow drafts? Can we talk about etiquette in slow drafts? Adam, I know that this is something that's been kind of eating at you a little bit. It's eating at me a ton. Biggest pet peeves, etiquette issues, slow drafts. Adam, I'll start with you because I know that you hate some of these things as much as I do.
Well, I will say this. We know your opinion on slow drafts, and you don't have a lot of patience. I have a lot more patience, but there's a line that's drawn. If there's an 8-hour clock, which is probably too long to begin with, and I just got sucked into an 8-hour one because they only needed 2 to fill it, and the one with 4 hours only had 1. So I said, all right, I'll do it. But there are way too many people in this draft taking the entire 8-hour clock intentionally. I've even had some of those responses on Twitter like, oh, I could take my time. Fine. During the NFL draft, you want to see where players are, no problem with it. But why are you taking 8 hours today? What is going to happen? Oh, wow, you're going to pick up Frank Gore in the round 14? Go ahead and do it. You're doing me a favor. I don't want him. But I just don't understand why you have to drain the entire clock intentionally. That's not what it was designed for. It was designed for people that cannot get to their phone, computer, they have to work, kids or whatever. And yeah, it gives you a little leeway. But you should not intentionally take the entire clock and drain it. That's the biggest problem that I have. We understand, I've always said, when you get into a slow draft, you got to understand that not everyone's going to make their pick in the first 5 minutes. And if you have a problem with that, don't join. But I've seen people, one guy went in when Gronkowski signed and said, he was on the clock and he goes, should I take Gronk? He left and came back with like 5 minutes left on the clock and made his pick. I mean, that's basically rubbing it in people's faces. You were there. You could have made the pick. We know you're not taking Gronk in the 3rd round. You're not a comedian. I hope you're not, because it's not funny if you're trying to make people laugh. No one responded to the comment, so it didn't do anything. So just, make your pick when you know it. Like, it's May now. There's no mini camps. There's going to be no injuries. Most of the big free agents have signed. So what are you waiting for on news? During the draft, no problem with it. You want to wait, see where someone goes and you get lucky, you're on the clock and you pick someone, great. That's your luck. But intentionally draining the clock, coming into the room, I mean, that's not what it's designed for. And then you're abusing your pick privilege.
Did he draft Gronk?
He did not. It was the 3rd round. I mean, you're not taking Gronk in the 3rd round. That's why it's not funny. Like, oh yeah, you're funny, real funny guy. Yeah, come on.
Jen, you had your hand up earlier. What's up?
So, two things. So, first of all, slow drafts. Why? Right now, in the middle of this, why do you need a slow draft? Okay, I get it. But 8 hours? 8 hours. What are you doing? Like, you're all here. You're all on your computers. Even if you're working, you're probably working on your computer. You can make a draft pick. So I just think there shouldn't be any 8-hour slow drafts, period, going on right now. Okay, The reason that they're made is exactly what Adam said, because people are at work, because people have to pick up their kids. They have to go, they have to do those things. But 8 hours? Now, I know I've been in a few 4-hour drafts, which fine. And because I'm on the West Coast and I'm drafting people on the East Coast, they get up and they go through them really fast. And then suddenly I'm on the clock at an early time in the morning or something. What I do is I put the players I want in a queue and go ahead and let it auto pick. Don't be a jerk. There's nothing that you're waiting on in those 4 hours. It was there to make it a little easier for you. But right now, in this situation, when there's not a lot of news of sports, there's not a lot of other things you could be doing, you're just a jerk if you're using up the time.
Just a jerk. All right. John?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of slow drafts anyways. I always, I know everybody's busy, right? But I mean, like, if you're in the industry, I don't know. I feel like you can't find an hour and a half to, like, get a full draft out of the way and let everybody pick at one time. Because then, like you guys all say, people will use all 4 hours, use all 6 hours of their drafts. And for me, it seems like a lot of these industry drafts are all slow drafts. So it just takes forever. And it's just frustrating to me. I only partake in it because of the exposure it gets and being able to, be a part of the industry leagues. But for me, if I can find time to carve out time, I don't know why others can't find an hour and a half to get a draft done.
All right, Justin Fensterman, last word on slow drafts today.
I don't love slow drafts. I like having that draft mentality where I could just draft the whole team. It's a mentality for me. I'm focused on it, and I don't like having it go in and out of the focus. But really what I don't like more than that is the public disrespect, whether it's on a chat, whether it's on Twitter. If you're going to be the one to talk all that crap and you're going to be publicly humiliating someone in your league for not picking it in an amount of time that you want, then you better be ready to have an average pick time of 30 seconds or I'm getting on your ass. That's how it's going to go because that's what you deserve. There's no need for public humiliation with all this.
There is no need for public humiliation. No, there definitely isn't. I've had that also. I've seen, people milk the clock completely. I'm sorry. I was so busy. I was so busy doing nothing. And then coming back and then berating people for not making their picks in a timely fashion. Because why? Because now all of a sudden you're in front of your computer for an hour or 2 hours, and now it's convenient for you. Once again, yes, and I'll be the final voice on slow drafts and say this. If you can't sit there and carve out 2 to 3 hours, one set of 2 to 3 hours, along a 3-month span leading up to the start of a regular season. If you can't carve out that amount of time, then maybe you shouldn't be playing. Maybe that's the big issue there. If you think that, your time, your life is so crazy important and busy that you can't dedicate 3 hours to your league mates, well, then get the hell out. That's my feeling about it. I hate slow drafts. I don't care if it's a 3-hour clock. I don't care if it's a 5-hour clock. I don't care if it's a 6-hour clock. I hate them all. I absolutely hate them all. And it's not what a draft is all about. A draft is not about milking the clock so that you can check the news. The draft is about your knowledge, testing it against those you're playing against. That's going to do it for us here at Table That Discussion. Do we have any final thoughts from the panel? Let's go around the room here. Something inspiring. How about something inspiring for people? Here's where John's shaking his head. He's like, I've got zero inspiration.
You're asking too much of me here, Howard. Too much.
It's unbelievable, right? What a stick in the mud. Somebody please give me something more inspiring than what Jon Impemba is all about right now. Wow.
I'll give something. I'll give something, and this is how I end every alarm after hours, which you all can tune in and hear Adam and I tonight, midnight Eastern. And that's, we always dominate. There is no other option. Domination is a very loose term. It doesn't mean you have to all of a sudden find $1 million or anything that astronomical. It's winning the day, little victories. Remember that. We can all just sit there with the pouts on our face, with our arms folded, and not do anything about this. Or we could try to work on ourselves to make sure that we're happy and still make sure that we're looking out for each other and also winning the day, little victories. Don't forget about that. Because, hey, when it comes to all this, the comeback is always greater than the setback.
Yeah, and every time he says that, I'm like, damn, I think of domination in the bedroom. But that's another story for another day. My words of encouragement
are even generate enough heat for the women in your apartment to be comfortable.
Yeah.
How are you dominating, Adam?
That's not that. So you're interpreting it wrong. because it could be 20 degrees outside. I don't put on heat. So you could imagine how cold it is. But I'm a person that's always hot. But that's another topic too for another day. People need to exercise, man. Stay in shape. You know, you're indoors. Go out, take a walk for sure. Do something, push-ups, but stay in shape. You're gonna get too lazy. So I take walks every single day, and it really helps with your health, your mind peace, your peace of mind. So get out there, do that, and don't drink soda, man. So much sugar in that garbage. Do not drink soda.
I feel like that was a pot shot at me, but
it wasn't. But if it can help you, man, don't drink soda, bro. It's terrible, man.
Soda's the devil.
Seltzer and Mio.
Oh, geez, that. All right, now we're dropping the mic and we're closing out today's show. Thanks so much for everybody for tuning in. We'll be back next Wednesday, and hopefully we'll just be back next Wednesday. Thanks so much for listening to Table That Discussion. I'm Howard Bender of the Fantasy Alarm. We'll catch you next time.